All right, this lesson is about prone back bends. We're going to cover crocodile, cobra, and sphinx postures. And I know that we've done cobra pose in our sun salutations, but I'm going to review it in this lesson. So let's go on and look at the first one. Okay. All right, first off, let's think about the word prone. The word prone means lie on your belly. So prone back bends are when the belly is facing toward the mat. Therefore, prone back bends begin with lying on the belly. Always, you want to start with yourself on your mat, on your belly. All right. So, if we were in class together, we would be doing a chart where we would fill out information on each posture and take turns teaching the posture to each other. So, if you're working with someone who's also taking this class, you can do that with each other. You can access the chart on the lesson in the virtual classroom. So just kind of helping each other out, looking for proper alignment and correcting alignment issues that you may see another person do. All right, so the first posture we're going to look at is called crocodile. And crocodile can be used as a relaxation pose, but it can also be a very gentle back bend. So if you notice here, this yogi has a bend in her back. Her spine is extended, right? Notice that her forehead is touching her arms. You can also place your hands palms down on the mat and practice that way. All right, so for crocodile pose, you're going to begin in a prone position. Bring your hands under your forehead and stack one hand over the other with the palms facing downward. Allow the tops of your feet to relax on the mat if you can. I know that some people have some flexibility issues with their ankle. And I like to bring my big toes together to touch if possible. And the reasoning behind that is it's an energy lock. So if you bring those toes to touch comfortably, it's going to keep all the energy that this pose creates rotating and circulating through the body. You can rest your forehead on your hands to keep the neck and spine in alignment. There's still going to be a slight curvature, but it will just be a little more comfortable than turning your head to the side. And while you're in this pose, take several three-part breaths. And while this pose may seem easy to do, there are several great benefits that can derive from it. Let's see if I can click on this and still record it. I'm not sure if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but there's a Yoga Basics link there that you can read more about it. It can also be used as a relaxation posture in Shavasana at the end of class if you would prefer to be on your belly rather than being on your back. So those are some of the benefits of crocodile pose, or some of the things about crocodile pose that you need to do. All right, so let's look more closely, at cobra pose, which we've already been practicing for quite a while. It's part of a sun salutation. It can also be practiced singularly, as in hatha yoga. And depending on your preference, you can do a low cobra or a high cobra. It's completely up to you. So whatever is comfortable for you. All right, for low cobra, you're going to begin in prone position with your hands under the shoulders and your palms down. Spread your fingers wide. Press equal weight into all of your fingers and the base of your fingers. So this yogi here could probably spread her fingers a little wider, as well as here. They're just kind of flopping around on the mat. This hand right here looks a little better. Hers over here does not. So I would put an X over these and an X over these and a check mark over this one. All right, so you'll spread your fingers wide. Your drishti, or your gaze point, is going to be about 45 degrees toward the mat. So your eyes are going to want to go down this direction. So looking forward is not the best for your neck. There's always a tendency to look upward, and it does not make your back bend any deeper, and it can actually create unnecessary tension on the neck. So that's why I always cue to relax the neck. On an inhale, you're going to lift the hands, head, and chest. And on an exhale, you'll lower back down to this position. So inhale, lift the hands, head and chest, hold for 5 breaths. That would be 5 3-part breaths. And then lower slowly back to crocodile pose and take a break. Then you can repeat after a short rest. So if the models in this picture lifted their hands, they would be in low cobra. And there's also a link for you to click for more information on this pose. All right, let's look at the last one in this lesson, which is Sphinx pose. And Sphinx pose is named for the famous Egyptian statue as it resembles it. You can see the similarity once I show you the picture of Sphinx pose. It's a great prone back bend because it takes pressure off the wrist. So if you have wrist issues, you can use your forearms for this particular pose. So here's an example of Sphinx pose. Notice that our yogi model down here has her palms down and her forearms to the mat, and her elbow and shoulder are almost at a 90-degree angle. So you'll begin in a prone position, elbows directly under your shoulders and the upper arm at the right angle to the floor. You're going to place your forearms on the mat, palms down, and spread your fingers wide and evenly, just like I cued for the low cobra. You're going to engage your upper body by pressing the forearms into the mat. And I even say push them back. So while you're pressing the forearms into the mat, create an isometric contraction as you pull them back towards the body without moving them. And pull the shoulders away from the ears while pulling the shoulder blades toward one another. And do not allow the upper body to collapse like we sometimes do when we're watching TV on our belly. We want to keep a very engaged upper body. Lift your chest upward, but keep your drishti straight ahead or slightly angled down towards the floor. So notice that this yogi's gaze point is straight ahead, or she could even relax the neck and drop it down a little bit. The tops of the feet, if your ankle flexibility will allow it, can connect to the mat, and your pelvis will press into the mat. And I've also provided a link there for more information. And that's the end of this lesson. So if you'll take a few minutes and practice each of these individually, coming back to this presentation if you need to for a refresher. Let me know if you have questions.